Now at 12, what the Green Line's latest update means for riders.
And what Michelle Wu is saying in response to a deadly stabbing last weekend.
From Boston, this is WEBJ News.
Good afternoon and welcome to WEBJ News. I'm Alexis Crandall.
And I'm Danielle Finezza. On this special edition of WEBJ News, we'll be looking at some hidden gems around Boston.
But first, we'll begin with today's top stories. The family of a Marine veteran is mourning today. 23-year-old Daniel Martinez was killed outside a bar near Faneuil Hall on Saturday. Police say Alvaro Laramo, a bouncer, stabbed Martinez during an altercation outside of the bar. Mayor Wu now commenting on the city's efforts to keep people safe.
There's been work across all of the nightlife scene to make sure that we are monitoring very carefully and that Boston is a safe community for everyone to enjoy themselves and celebrate.
Laramo was charged with murder on Monday and has since pled not guilty.
The long-awaited Somerville T Station is now open. The Union Square and Leechmere stations are the first in a series of extensions for the Green Line. The $2.3 billion project began back in 2018. There are plans to build 4.5 miles of tracks, extending services to Medford. For many in the community, this has been a long time coming.
It's been a remarkable effort. I mean, to date, there's been literally thousands of hands that have really brought this project to its current condition.
First trolley line to open in Boston in over 30 years.
City officials are denouncing the actions of a neo-Nazi group that attended the St. Patrick's Day parade on Sunday. The group of 20 people were seen wearing symbols associated with the National Social Club, a group known for its ties to white supremacy. They were on West Broadway holding a sign reading "Keep Boston Irish." Parade officials calling out the group, saying, quote, "Such groups will never be welcome," end quote. Elected officials from South Boston also released a joint statement calling their message repulsive to Boston. We certainly have been getting a taste of spring here in Boston these last couple of days. Let's head over to our weather correspondent, Maximo Lawler. What do you think, Maximo? Is spring here to stay?
Alexis, I wish I could say spring is here to stay, but it's unfortunately not looking that likely. It's pretty common for Mass to actually see snow in March and even sometimes into April, but that's not in our current forecast, so fingers crossed there. Taking a look at today, we have a high at 50, so not too bad out there, but we may be seeing some lower temps into the mid-30s later into the evening. There's also tons of gusts and a pretty steady breeze, so make sure to keep your hat on just a little extra tight today. Now around Eastern Mass, we're all in the 40s right now. Up north in Fitchburg and Lawrence, in the mid-40s, and down south into Providence and New Bedford, they're in the upper 40s. Now out in the Cape, Hyannis is in the mid-40s, and Provincetown getting a little chillier in the lower 40s. Now Norwood is almost breaking into the 50s, and here in Boston, we're at a comfortable 47. Now looking into the 5-day, temps looking relatively similar throughout the week. Tomorrow's highs in the upper 40s and lows in the lower 30s. But you're going to want to pack your umbrella because showers are going to be coming in the evening. And those showers, they stick around into both Thursday and Friday. And Saturday, we do go back into some decent weather just in time for the weekend. Clouds will be sticking around, but we will be getting some sunshine. Highs in the lower 50s and lows in the upper 30s. That's all I have for you for weather. Back at you at the desk.
Thanks, Maximo. History fans, a new interactive art exhibit on the life of King Tut is coming to Boston this summer. The exhibit commemorates the 100-year anniversary of the unearthing of King Tut. Visitors can take a walk through the Egyptian pharaoh's life at Sowa Power Station starting in July.
Coming up, a look at local food court that's adding an exciting twist to a historic building.
And why college students are choosing schools in Boston. Stay with us.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Welcome back to WEBJ News. Boston is a popular tourist destination and a big college town. With so much to explore in the city, our reporter Elena Nays talked to students about what made them choose Boston as home.
A lot goes into choosing a college. You have to consider the academics and the student life. But what about the city it's in? For many college students in Boston, the city was a main factor in how they chose where to spend their next 4 years. From the Boston Common to food from every culture, Boston has a lot to offer. For college students like Matt, family visits offer a way to explore the city.
Well, my family is big into baseball, so Fenway is always huge.
For others, the charm of Boston comes in a much smaller form.
Well, the food here is amazing.
The weather's nice. It's very different from where I'm from. I'm from Miami.
Boston has over 30% of the state's college population, and while Boston has a lot to offer, graduation season marks a peak time for Boston tourism. Hotels are booked out, restaurants are full, and more traditional avenues of tourism are thriving. What can college students do during the off-season? Much of Boston's tourist attractions are open year-round, like museums and the famous duck boat tours. However, many traditional tourist attractions aren't as appealing to people who live here. There are hundreds of options for shopping, food, and entertainment, confirming for many students exactly why they chose Boston.
For WEBJ, I'm Elena Nays.
Thank you, Elena. Now, I don't know about you, Danielle, but I can definitely relate to that love of Boston. With the weather so nice these past days, I've been spending a lot of time in the Common, too.
I definitely relate as well. There's so much to do in the city, and I know I've always been happy that I chose to come to college here.
And speaking of things to do, our reporter Carly Bronkema went out to Fenway to learn more about a historic building with a restaurant inside that's shaking up the food industry.
In the heart of Fenway is the 401 Park Building. What was built in 1928 as a Sears distribution center now houses Time Out Market, an innovative twist on your traditional food court style dining option. Inside you'll find 14 different places for you to eat and drink.
In a city filled with food history, Time Out Market is changing the way people eat out.
What makes Time Out different is that you can come here with a group of people and you don't have to decide on where to go to eat.
Time Out Market is organized to appeal to college-aged people who are looking for something more interesting than your typical restaurant.
It's really a customizable experience, and I feel like that's what the younger generation, likes, is to kind of choose their own adventure when they go out.
But there's more to the market than what meets the eye. Time Out actually started as a magazine in London in the 60s. Now that publication has a home here in Fenway.
So the idea behind the market is that the editorial writers who really have their finger on the pulse of the city's best food, cuisine, and culture brought all of those best aspects into one location for people to enjoy.
Time Out's website says, if it's good, it goes in the media. If it's great, it goes in the market. Market goers in Boston can pick from a dozen dining options, and this location is just one of 7 Time Out markets across the globe.
No other food hall in Boston has a food hall they can refer to in Dubai, or an editorial team based out of London that has 1 million followers on Instagram.
And a place with such rich history has even better food. Plus, the market offers special perks for students who show a college ID. This includes things like extra gelato and free fries. At Time Out Market, I'm Carly Bronkema, WEBJ News.
Thanks, Carly. When we come back, I spent a day with some local tour guides. Don't go anywhere.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
can achieve a lot using your imagination. I mean, I don't like to brag, but... Wait, who's that? And why is she all over these achievement awards? But with STEM, the sky's the limit. Shaboom! Use STEM to envision... Okay, I'm seeing it. Yeah. Invent...
Got any ideas?
I've got a few, actually. And create a better world.
Told you she's super smart.
If she can STEM, so can you. Find out more at She Can STEM.
Honorary Forest Ranger Betty White here, lending a hand to my dear friend Smokey Bear. Because for 75 years, he's only said...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
But there's a lot more to say. Like, if you park your car on tall, dry grass, the hot exhaust pipe can start a wildfire. So keep the animals safe, especially the cute shirtless one. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to theshelterpetproject.org and meet a few who are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener who loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to theshelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend, a dog.
Welcome back. For many students, the nerves of starting college also come with the nerves related to starting life in a new city or new state. I spoke with some of the tour guides here in Boston that are helping to ease this transition. College students heading to new cities can start taking lessons from tourists. Here in Boston, thousands each year are hopping on and off the city's trolley tours.
It's a fun, energetic way of seeing the city, but also educational, so you can kind of learn the buildings and learn the, architecture and stuff.
Old Town trolleys make stops at all the key Boston landmarks. Tour guide Gonzo has been leading locals and tourists to these spots for years. He says if you're coming to Boston, brush up on your history first.
Sam Adams, the Sons of Liberty, they were constantly duking it out with British authority, so that's why things happened here first.
While trolley tours are teaching their riders about Boston's past, they also fill them in on the pulse of the city today. Gonzo encourages his riders to hop off the trolley and explore it for themselves.
Maybe I wasn't excited about the city, but he certainly has, and now we know a gazillion things about the city, some things we have no idea about. So you just get excited talking about that, and you hope you can, inject that in people. Hey, he's excited, let's go and see what it.
Another iconic way to explore the city is Boston's duck tours. These add a new twist by driving right into the Charles River. Tour guide Tad McKitterick says college students are some of his favorite customers.
We get a whole new batch every year, and cycles completely every 4 years. And with them, you have people coming to visit the schools.
No matter which tour you buy a ticket for, one thing is clear. If you're looking to learn more about Boston's past and present, tour guides are the best people to ask.
You want people to get off the tour saying wow, Boston's great. They've come a long way in many areas. So much of the things we can be proud of in our country, started here in Boston or have their roots here in the city.
For WEBJ News, I'm Danielle Finezza.
I've never even thought about doing a tour when I first moved to Boston. What a great way to see the city.
It really is, and Gonzo was such a character, so it definitely kind of livened up the historical aspects of the tour. And I highly recommend you go check it out. But another great way to experience a new city, shopping. And with thrifting on the rise in Boston, Ella Ward joins us to highlight one store going the extra mile to give back.
Thrifting is a great way to expand your closet while conserving your wallet.
The average, I would say, is probably around $6.
Danielle Pino is the manager of Boomerang Central Square. She emphasizes how shopping secondhand allows you to steer clear of fast fashion.
To give items second life, to extend the life of a garment or an item feels good to me.
Thrifting and shopping secondhand is a great way to be more sustainable, but when you come shop at Boomerangs, that's not the only cause you're supporting.
Basically everything that doesn't go for rent, keeping the lights on, keeping us paid directly goes to help fund Fenway Health projects.
Boomerangs is a partner with Fenway Health and AIDS Action.
Boomerangs is a nonprofit thrift store. The proceeds are going to fight AIDS.
Along with their work with the LGBTQ community, it's become important for it to feel like a safe space at the store.
A space away from homophobia, transphobia, racism, sexism, fat phobia. It's really important that our employees and customers feel safe in this space.
That safe space expanding to fashion, Pino saying that thrifting is helping people explore a little bit of their wilder side.
Just having the freedom to sort of buy a weird $3 shirt, you know, try it out. If it doesn't work for you, you can recycle it back into the system.
And if you want to get involved with Fenway Health, it can be as easy as coming to Boomerangs and shopping.
In Central Square, I'm Ella Ward, WEBJ News.
Thank you, Ella.
Alexis, I've actually never been to Boomerangs, but after seeing that, I know I need to check it out.
Same here. I love how they're supporting so many great organizations, and it also seems like a great place to get a new outfit. For even more ways to adjust to Boston, reporter Elena Nays talked to Emerson College's off-campus community ambassador. Check it out.
Finding ways to feel at home is important for college students. For ways to ease that transition, we have an Emerson College community ambassador, Audrey Labonte. Welcome.
Hi, it's so great to be here.
So what would you recommend is the best way for students to get to know Boston?
I would say just make friends with kids who live off campus. There's, the best way that I learned how to kind of navigate the city is I made friends with kids who lived in JP, who lived in Allston, Brighton, Brookline. Just really getting off of like Emerson's campus specifically, checking out events like cultural events in some of the neighborhoods like Roxbury and Chinatown. Always have really cool things going on. So yeah, just kind of checking out stuff that you wouldn't normally think to.
Yeah, I feel like there's kind of a misconception that only freshmen can kind of start to explore, and then once you miss that and you become an upperclassman, you're kind of like out of luck. Is there anything that you recommend upperclassmen do, or anything that they can do?
I would say for upperclassmen specifically, really just I found like finding like a place that you like to go to, finding for upperclassmen specifically, like maybe a bar that you like to go to, or like a restaurant, and just kind of doing it like that. I go off of a lot of recommendations from friends because I have places that I frequent, but I have friends who like go to different places in Chinatown and places like that, and just going really off of like recommendations from friends and seeing where they've been going for the last couple of years. So
yeah, thank you. And do you think there's any mistakes that students are making when they're trying to get adjusted to a new environment?
I would say not taking advantage of the incredible public transportation that Boston has. As someone who takes the T every single day, multiple times a day, I know that it can be really frustrating. But also the public transportation here is unmatched to like any other city, and Boston is so walkable. So just really taking advantage of the fact that you could walk the entire city in an hour and a half if you really wanted to.
Yeah, thank you. And then how do you think college students can really find that community in Boston? Like they've made the community, they've gone out and they've met those places, but how can they keep that community going?
I would say really just making an effort to reach out to people. I know that it can be really hard, especially now with a lot of students dealing with like burnout and that kind of thing, but just making it known to your friends that you're always, to keep inviting you, even if like you say no, and to reach out to anybody who you might not normally hang out with all the time.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Audrey, for taking the time to talk to us today. It was really great to know your experience and know what we can do to help college students.
More to come, a management company making a lot of noise on the underground music scene. We'll be right back.
Do you love sports? Then you should know about STEM. Because maximizing nutrition, analyzing peak muscle performance, calculating the perfect shot, and more are all made possible by science, technology, engineering, and math. In fact, there are more careers than ever in sports science. So if you have a passion for sports, then think about getting involved in STEM and improve everyone's game on and off the field. Get inspired at SheCanSTEM.com.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Welcome back. There's been a wave of artists coming out of Boston. Ezekiel Telemaco, what do you have for us?
When it comes to the underground music scene in Boston, Afterlife Presents is making noise around the globe. Artists Rich Amiri and Dev Stacks are gaining lots of traction in the industry through their music. Both had millions of streams and numerous sold-out concerts during the pandemic. We sat down with their managers Harrison Jenkins and Nissim Herkovitz to talk about the underground music scene and its potential in Boston.
Boston is literally like very low down on these guys' lists when you look at their SoundCloud and Spotify statistics. So now we're starting to take our show on the road, whether it's through doing our own shows or just getting our artists booked at other shows. So, for example, we're about to announce soon we have a show coming up in Atlanta at the beginning of May. Amiri and Dev are both going to be in a show in New York on May 1st, which is yet to be announced. We're going with Amiri to Vermont April 16th. He's performing in a show with SSG Kobe. Amiri and Dev are both performing in the Hyperpop Daily Show this Friday. So now we've sort of got the formula in Boston, and now we're trying to bring it to other cities where we already know from the analytics that the people are there.
Afterlife Presents is selling out shows in Boston and around the country, but according to Nissim, it didn't start off like that.
From the outside looking in right now, if you look at what we've done in the last 5 months, it might seem like it's come easy and that we were just in the right place at the right time, but what you're missing is literally over a year of work where we made no progress. And we were really just waiting. We didn't know, but we were waiting for this moment.
According to Harrison, the hardest part about having shows in Boston was getting their foot in the door.
The hardest part was getting our foot in the door. Once we got our foot in the door and we got like 3 shows down, now it's like way easier for us to like book venues and for us to like get trusted.
Yeah, and to that extent, like we're really grateful actually that we started in Boston because it's sort of like the perfect city to come up as a promoter, because if we were in New York or LA or even Miami, it might be like too saturated with too many people already trying to be in this scene. But we got really lucky where we were just able to step into this lane where nobody was really throwing shows in this scene, but at the same time, Boston was a big enough city with the surrounding areas as well that there's enough people to sell the tickets to. So it was really just sort of like the perfect storm to capitalize on. And that moment was starting to do these shows, meeting Amiri and Dev, and that's really what launched us. So just because something's not working out, just keep doing it, and you got to be able to spot like this is the moment where you go all in, and that's what we did.
Afterlife Presents has come a long way from walking to driving in a GTR when they slide in. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Ezekiel. That's all we have for this special edition of WEBJ News.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Danielle Finezza.
And I'm Alexis Crandall. Have a great rest of your day.